Toastmasters, and guests. As Greg mentioned, my name is Kim Alt. I'm a traffic safety engineer with the Michigan Department of Transportation. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about what it's like to be an engineer as a career and some specifics about my job. So when I say the word engineer, what comes to mind to you? Is it something like this? Or maybe it's something like this. It might be a bunch of people huddled over some plans at a construction site trying to decide what should happen next. Some days my job feels like this, and other days it feels like this. But for the most part, this is what it looks like to be me, working as an engineer at the Michigan Department of Transportation. You can see that my desk is moderately messy, but I seem to know where everything's at. I've got Post-it notes with my lists of things to do, and I've got work strewn all over the place. So I've never got just one thing going on. It's always a bunch of different tasks and trying to complete at the same time. So what is engineering? This is the definition courtesy of wikipedia.org. And that's kind of wordy, so I eliminated it down to the words that really matter. Engineering is the application of knowledge to design, build, and maintain everything in our world. Everything man-made that you see, an engineer probably had a hand at some point in the materials or in the process of when it was built. So, what would make a good future engineer? What are some good personality traits? Well, engineers have to be good communicators because we have to communicate our ideas and our designs to other people in order for us to be effective at our jobs. You have to enjoy math and science. You don't have to love it, but you just have to get through it in college. I was never a great student in math. I was a B student all the way. I made it through engineering school. Engineers are creative, independent thinkers and also like to solve problems. We take pride in knowing that the work that we do is hopefully making a positive effect on the world. So, what does it take to be an engineer? Well, you can start preparing in high school by taking math and science classes, extra math and science classes, while they're free. It's easier to take them in high school and possibly fail them than it is to take them in college. So you want to take them as soon as you can. And then when you get to college, you're going to do 4 years of math and science and engineering courses. But then once you graduate and have your degree and you go on to your job, there's going to be continued learning throughout your career. You're never going to be done learning. You're always going to be attending new training courses or working on new communication skills like I do in my Toastmasters Club. These are some good engineering schools. This is the one I highly recommend right here. These are just schools in the state of Michigan that offer engineering courses. So there's all different types of engineering. It's a very broad area of study. So maybe you want to work on cars. Maybe you want to be an automotive engineer. Well, that means you could study mechanical engineering, electrical engineering, computer engineering, just about any of those. Maybe you want to work on roads and bridges and infrastructure. That's what I do. I'm a civil engineer. So I deal with highways mainly, but we do other things too, like wastewater treatment systems. We deal with buildings, making sure buildings are going to stand and not be knocked over in strong wind or anything like that. These are some of the specialties when you narrow down civil engineering. There's transportation, which is what I do. And I mentioned buildings, that's structural, civil engineering. There's also environmental, like I mentioned with wastewater treatment. There's geotechnical, deals with the foundations of buildings, making sure that the building, once you put it there, is not going to sink or fall over because of the soil that's underneath it. And then there's construction engineering, which deals with large construction projects and scheduling tasks that need to be done in the construction to make sure everything happens on time. This is a civil engineering marvel that you all would probably recognize. It's the Mackinac Bridge. Over 350 engineers worked on this project. And they did this back 60 years ago, before computers. So it's pretty amazing that you can do these kind of things if you have an engineering degree. This is another civil engineering marvel here. It's the Hoover Dam that was built in 5 years, opened in 1936. And also the bypass bridge right here. This picture was taken when it was built, so the drivers no longer have to drive this little tiny road around to get through the canyon. They can take that nice highway bypass bridge right there. So everybody always wants to know, what is the pay scale for engineers? Well, here at MDOT, I'm an engineer, so I'm right here in this range somewhere. This is the starting salaries, and we can go all the way up to somewhere in there. And if you're licensed, that means you've taken the professional engineering exam, which is an 8-hour exam, and you've proved that you have enough work experience to be a responsible engineer. Then you can make a little bit more money, but you have a lot more responsibility. So if you want to know how much we make in a year, just take this hourly rate, multiply it by 40 hours per week, and then by 52 weeks per year to get the yearly wage. My typical week. This is an example of some of the things that I might do in a typical work week. We use a lot of different computer programs where I work, and what I do specifically is I study traffic crash data. So we have several different computer programs that we can use in order to pull this data together to find patterns of traffic crashes so that we can make the roads safer for everybody out there who's using them. So once we come up with these problem spots, whether they're intersections or segments of roads that have a lot of crashes, then we might go out into the field and do a field review to look at the location to see what we can do to make it safer, whether it's better signs or whether it's cutting down some trees that are in a bad spot. And then once we do the field review, we'll type up this document and send it back to the agency that we worked with, if it's a county road commission or a city or something like that, or maybe it's within MDOT, maybe it's on one of our roads. And we'll make these recommended solutions here for how we can make that road safer, what kind of construction fixes we can do in order to make it safer for all users. And like I mentioned before about continued learning throughout your career, you're never finished learning. There's always new things that are coming out, new traffic safety fixes that are becoming popular that we can use. So we'll study those and we'll explore new traffic safety ideas to see what's coming out and what can be used on our roads. So I've looked at a lot of these in my job. This is a crash report. Every time there's a traffic crash anywhere in the state of Michigan, one of these gets generated. It's got a lot of information about the location that the crash happened at. This is information on the driver and the vehicles that were involved, weather conditions, that kind of thing. And then it's got a description down there in the lower right-hand corner, which looks like this. So this is describing a crash where somebody stopped at a stop sign and then pulled straight through and was struck by somebody who didn't have a stop sign. So it might be what you call a T-bone crash. And you name any roadway safety features that are out there. These are just a few examples of some of the things that we engineers study to put in the appropriate locations out on the roads. This is just another example of a software tool that we've used. This is used to model signal progression, to model vehicles moving through traffic signals along a roadway. So that's just one of the many software tools we use. There are a lot of them that we use. So that comes down to the question, do I enjoy my job? Well, I do enjoy my job because I work with a lot of intelligent, very talented people. My job is always a challenge. It's never barely that boring or monotonous because I'm always learning something new. I'm always doing something different. And I like that my job gives me the time, the income, and the flexibility to do the kind of things that I want to do. And there are some perks to my job too. If you see this bridge right here that's up between Houghton and Hancock, Michigan. And when I was up there for work inspecting the bridge, I actually got to go stand on top of it, so that was pretty cool. So that brings me to the end of my presentation. If anybody has any questions, please let me know. Thank you.